Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Luther.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Yes, a very, very warm welcome to everybody. I'm Andrew, your host for this evening's Rangers Journal Pod. We are going to be talking about the changes we saw yesterday as Danny Röhl managed Rangers at Ibrox for the first time in the Scottish Premiership, and we actually scored some goals and won a game. So that's something we haven't said quite embarrassingly this season at home, and it is nearly November. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at the minute, but some positive signs, and we're going to be discussing all those changes that we kind of saw yesterday, and maybe look ahead to how we might implement a lot of these going forward, and kind of just get a bit of an idea about Danny Röhl and kind of what he kind of does and might be able to do with the team. So to join us this evening, first of all, I'll come to Ryan. Ryan, how you doing, mate? You must have been feeling good after the weekend.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, nice to go into work with a wee spring in my step this morning.
Yeah, definitely. You were at Ibrox quite a few times over the weekend, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there on Saturday to put the tifo up, the poppy tifo up, and done that on Saturday. It's something I think that's my fourth year of doing it now, so it's just me doing my wee bit for the club and stuff like that. So it's obviously nice to get a wee walk around the stadium and stuff. I think I was stood kind of track side where Danny Röhl was standing for about a good 20 minutes, half an hour yesterday, and it was or Saturday, sorry. And it's just nice just to kind of stand and look at and remember everything that's went by in the last few years.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, a big shout out to the Remembrance Day. Obviously, we've done it this weekend because it's the kind of closest kind of time at home for us. So, yeah, no, thanks for your help with that, Ryan. It's much appreciated by all the Rangers family and, of course, the armed forces as well. Next of all, Scott is joining us with his absolutely majestic beard that I am so jealous of because I can't grow anything on my face. How you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, Andrew. Thanks very much. How's yourself?
Do you know, I'm not too bad. I'm actually happy. We've won a game, and I don't know. It just feels like we're going into Old Firm week now. I know obviously we've got a game before that, but you know what? It's a battle fever starting, isn't it?
Well, hopefully. Hopefully. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to build upon this and go forward, but it is a big week coming up, so let's see what's in store for us.
I like that positive attitude, Scott. You're a good man. And last but not least, Craig. How you doing, my friend? You must be feeling absolutely ecstatic after the weekend.
Aye, it'll be good to sit here and talk positively for certainly the first time that I've been on. That it'll really be a positive feeling to the podcast. So I'm looking forward to actually saying some good things about Rangers for once.
Do you know, it has been so long, hasn't it? It's just been, I remember doing the post-match last week after Bran, and I was just burst. I was just sitting here going, oh, God. It does actually toy your mental health as well, doesn't it? It's absolutely something. But good to have you on as well, Craig. And of course, everybody at home, I'm seeing the comments all coming in. The ever-reliable Theo, how you doing, mate? You got Doug in there, Dino, the man, the myth, the legend. You got Xander and Diddle Purcell's Blue Boots. And of course, we do have a brand new member. So welcome to the Rangers Journal family, Kerry. And we hope to see you in the comments section on the pod as well. And before we get into everything, don't forget this pod is proudly sponsored by Bluebell's Bar, Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. So if you are down in the Canary Islands, and there's only one place to be really if you are looking for a good drink, the only Rangers bar in Puerto del Carmen. It's family friendly, eat, drink, chill, party, and they do show every Rangers game live. So it'll be like a home from home, but with some sunshine. So do join the guys there if you are in that neck of the woods. So let's get to it. We had a fantastic win at home yesterday in Danny Röhl's first game in charge of Rangers in the Scottish Premiership, and it was a fairly decent result. We didn't just have 3 goals. We had some unexpected goal scorers, and it was a couple of goals ruled out as well. It could have been even more on the day. Ryan, obviously you were at the game. How did you feel yesterday watching it?
Yeah, it was good. A lot more comprehensive. You just felt a lot more confident. There wasn't, I've often said watching Rangers this season is like watching car crash TV. It just felt a lot more kind of comprehensive, under control. And there's a couple of kind of hairy moments which you've still got to kind of get the cobwebs completely out. But by all in all, I didn't really feel as if there was any doubt we were going to win the game for the full 90 minutes. It was just a case of if, when, if not if, we're going to win the game. And even after they scored, that was pretty good. So it was good, and he's obviously used quite a lot of his squad on Sunday as well. So it's good to see guys, particularly guys like Lyle Cameron, Danilo, and stuff like that getting minutes that haven't really featured so far this season.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Danilo's goal was nice. That was, to be fair, I don't think there was a bad goal in the game, really, to be honest with you. Obviously, the Kilmarnock keeper, got to be honest here, he didn't have the best game, did he? He was, Scott, it was a bit of an interesting performance, I think, especially in that first half when he kind of thundered the ball off. Was it Danilo he thundered it off, and then it kind of looped over to Miovski who headed it in? Obviously, it was down as offside. It is offside, but that must have knocked his confidence, do you think?
Yeah, it wasn't really. If I was a Kilmarnock supporter, I wouldn't have a great deal of faith in him being my number one, to be honest with you. Keepers do have off days, that's all well and good, but it just seemed to be anytime there was a kind of key moment for him, there was a bit of an error. The whole kick out that came off, whether it Danilo or Cornelius, whoever it may well have been when Miovski put it in, was a bit of a clanger. And obviously, I think he should have done better with Chermiti's goal as well. But at the end of the day, we have had a fair share of goalkeeping errors over the last couple of years, so it's about time we got one or two or three in return for ourselves this time around. So I'm all right with it. I'm going to take it and smile and move on.
Oh, yeah, we'll take anything at the minute, to be honest. It's actually, what was amazing to see, Craig, yesterday was our goal difference actually come out of minus and actually go into plus. I'm laughing right now. It's not a laughing matter, really. It's not. It's not Rangers standard whatsoever, is it? But anybody on the team sheet yesterday for you that you thought, that's a good change, or was there any surprises for you? Was that the team you kind of thought would probably be the one that Danny Röhl would go with?
Trying to think.
I didn't put you on the spot.
Yeah, I didn't think Danilo would start. I'm trying to think who else was playing. Asgard, Diamandi, I suppose.
Okay.
I think Connor Barron's been playing well. Maybe unfair to say he was dropped because he did come on, and it's not as if he's really done anything, or I don't really think he's done anything wrong. Diamandi's really hit and miss, in my opinion. I think he's good, but I think it's just that he doesn't show it consistently enough. But I think the big surprise was Danilo, especially when you looked at the team sheet. It looked as if Danilo was going to be playing out wide because he was the last. Is normally where the right winger is on the team sheet on social media. Which confused me a little bit, but it looked to me as if it was more of a partnership with Miovski and a kind of 3-5-2. So yeah, probably Danilo is probably the one. But to be fair, he done very well. So he proved Danny Röhl right to pick him.
Yeah, no, it certainly did. And I guess you could look at yesterday, when you look at that team sheet, and especially the team sheet the game before, it kind of does look like, I think, Röhl is trying to give everybody a bit of a chance. So he's trying to see a little bit of everybody, see what they're all about. But being honest, Danilo probably is our best striker at the club. Obviously, he's not had the best of times. He's had such an injury-ravaged career, especially at Rangers, that he's not really been able to shine, but it was probably the right move playing him yesterday to kind of get him warmed up for this week. So we've got a big week coming up, and he does love a goal against Rangers, doesn't he, Craig?
Loves a goal against Rangers.
Sorry, against Celtic, I meant to say. Sorry, not against Rangers. It's because there was another team at the weekend that scored a cracker of an OG, a volley, that I think I'm just getting confused now.
Right,
Apologies.
okay, I see. Aye, no, he does. He's got a couple against Celtic now, isn't he? The one that automatically springs to mind is the equaliser in the cup final last year, the header. So he can pop up with a big goal. And actually, when Danilo is fit and he gets a run in the team, I think he does tend to score. because he was injured for a lot of last season, and he still got 6 or 7, I believe.
Yeah.
So he tends to score when he gets a run in the team. He's just injured too much. But if he can get past that, I think he's well worth having in the team. He's certainly well worth having in the squad.
No, definitely. There was a comment coming here from Gary O'Sullivan. Glad to see Danilo get his goal. Same with Chimiti. Not keen on Chimiti's celebration, though. Well, I think it's one of these things in football, isn't it? He scored a great goal, and if he does that every week, I think we're happy to eat our words, aren't we? So it's one of those. I don't think anybody's really annoyed per se at Chimiti himself. I think it was more the whole process behind how he's been at the club, but hopefully he goes on a bit of a scoring run now. So let's have a wee look. We've got some graphics, so we are going to compare kind of Röhl's style to kind of Russell Martin's style, and even a wee bit of Stevie Smith's kind of style, the way he set up the week before. Not a lot we can take from Stevie Smith's one. It's one game interim manager, so I think he probably did just set them up to kind of go out there, play as well as you can, and it's one of those, isn't it? But let's have a look at some of the key stats. So I'm going to read this out because I know that this podcast does go out on our audio podcast stores on Spotify, on Amazon, and of course on Apple Podcasts. So it's not great having an image on there, but also some people might be watching on smaller screens at home as well. So some of the key stats: more control possession over the course of the 19 minutes. It never dropped below 70%. 4.86 passes per defensive action versus Kilmarnock, the lowest domestically all season. Match tempo, highest since Dundee at home with 17.63 passes per minute. 4 smart passes v Kilmarnock's second most this season. Most passes played forward versus Kilmarnock with 192. Second fewest fouls given away in a game this season. Highest defensive duel win rate of the season with 71%. Highest total duel win rate with 56.6%. The next highest was Stevie Smith with 51.03, and Russell Martin's highest was 48%. Most goals scored in a league game for us this season. So, Ryan, I'm going to come to you, mate. I know I've just kind of given you a load of numbers there that not everyone kind of will necessarily look at that as the kind of metric for the game. A lot of people do it with the eye test. I'm very fond of the eye test as well. Is there anything you can pick out from that, Ryan, that you think has been a major improvement in them key stats?
Everything's better, really, isn't it? The control of possession certainly is obviously helpful. The 4 smart passes, I think there's a definition of what a smart pass is there, but how much, like yourself, Andrew, I look at it on the eye, mate. To be honest, these stats are great and it's good reading and stuff like that, and your more in-depth guys will take their. I still think we should be doing better. I'll be honest. There's still parts of the game that I think we just need to speed it up. There's things like with the ball goes behind from a corner. And obviously, teams have a habit of dropping in deep against us and getting themselves back in, and we just seem to do things that wee bit too slow. And it's, get the ball back on, get the ball to the goalkeeper and get play started again quicker. Get the ball to Tav, get the ball to Macoma, get the ball moving quicker, get the ball forward before teams have got a chance to get back in and settle. And we're still doing things, but it's taking 5 or 6 passes to get ourselves out of defence into their half, when I think really, truth be told, it should only take maybe 1, 2 or 3 at the most there. Raskin is still coming too deep looking for the ball, whereas I think there's opportunities to actually get him further up the park and do more damage further up the park. But this isn't going to happen overnight. It's not going to. And the amount of fixtures that Danny Röhl's got to deal with, and the amount of, he's not going to get a lot of time with these players on the grass and as much training time as he'd probably like to do. So we've got to be patient and just hope for these kind of wee baby steps. But this is what I would probably describe it as baby steps. It's moving things in the right direction. The most league goals scored this season for us is probably the highlight for me, if you're asking for the best numbers there. It's great to see Rangers actually going out and scoring goals again, and we had unlucky not to get a 4th with Raskins getting ruled off for offside. More to come, please.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree. Just looking at the eye test yesterday, straight away you could see there was much more positivity in play. I'll go into some kind of more specific stats. We've got some graphics to show as well of the average kind of positions per kind of player over some of the league games this season, which will kind of show the kind of differences. But before we go into that, I'm just going to put up the match report from yesterday. So Scott, there's our kind of stats there. Obviously, a lot of possession, total shots, quite a few more, shots on target, 6-3. Is there anything there on that list that jumps out at you, Scott, that you think, you know what, that is greatly improved vice Russell Martin's kind of stats this season?
Well, I mean, obviously, being able to put 3 goals away is obviously the biggest thing that stands out in comparison to when Russell Martin was here. But I mean, even every single bit of it is better because I'm like yourself. I'm very much old school when it comes to these kind of things. I'll judge a game by watching it as opposed to looking at stats and figures and XG and all this kind of thing. As helpful as it is, it's not really in it. I'm just not intelligent enough to understand the full thing. But I mean, you even look at big chances there. We've created 2 big chances. A couple of weeks ago, that was 0. I mean, you look at the game against Hearts, for talk's sake. I think they had about 6 or 7 big chances, and we maybe had 1 at best. And there's been games when we've had nothing. The accuracy in the passing's improved as well. But I'm an eye test guy. I mean, there's certain things that happened yesterday that we hadn't seen under Russell Martin. Players playing with a bit more freedom, the flexibility in the lineup. We've been able to shift from a back 3 to a back 5 with a simple transition of play. These kind of things are night and day from what we had just a few weeks ago. And I mean, there is an awful lot of work still to be done, don't get me wrong, but I'm taking yesterday as being, I'm really positive from that yesterday, because if Danny Röhl can come in and breathe a breath of fresh air through the players after just a couple of days, especially after that disaster in Norway last week, I don't think there's any reason why you can't pick up from this and drive the players on going into Wednesday, and we can deal with that first. But just the whole affair yesterday was more positive in my opinion. I don't think any of you will disagree with me on that one. We didn't really look as if we were in any kind of danger at any point in time. Earlier on in the season, if we conceded a goal, whether it be going 1 down or conceding an equaliser, I would have immediately hit the panic button myself and thought, right, we're going to lose this game. Even the Dundee United game when Stevie Smith was in charge, they get 1 back and you could see another one coming before we actually got 1 back. Never really felt like that yesterday, but the whole thing was better. Possession's obviously good, but the game, as Danny Röhl says after the game, the game isn't based upon possession. It's based about winning games, and that's the be-all and end-all at the end of the day.
I totally agree. It is the be-all and end-all, and, you know, obviously, worryingly, Russell Martin's last game, he kind of says it wasn't all about winning. I remember the quote, I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, where he actually did seem to say it was more about controlling the game than the win, and, you know, the philosophy is all wrong if that's what it is. Craig, obviously looking at the stats there, anything else that sticks out for you there that you think that was a massive improvement, or is it just better all across the board for you, mate?
Well, I think the change of shape is the big thing. The 2 wing backs, first of all, getting wide is something I know we'll see it when we go into the average positions thing, but actually players being, you know, wide, out wide to actually get crosses in is something we really missed. I have always been a fan of 2 strikers. I think 2 strikers is something that should never have disappeared. I love the idea of a striker dropping in and 1 striker playing on the shoulder of the last defender. I think it works so much better for moving up the park. The Asgard's role, it seemed to be more of a free role where he could sort of roam. I enjoyed that yesterday. I still think there's more to come from him. I still think he's a bit quiet in games, but I think there's a good player in there. The 3 at the back worked quite well. Tavernier could still push forward if he wanted to. Diamande and Raskin certainly were 2 that could sit and hold that 3rd centre half spot. Suter and Cornelius. I mean, it's always been Suter. Yesterday it was Cornelius, but Giga or whoever else is playing in there. They need that extra bit of support. because they've been caught out too many times as a flat four. So having that extra bit of support, whether it's Tavernier, if Tavernier's move forward, they've got someone holding with them. So I enjoyed seeing that. So yeah, it was just overall looked better structured, better, phases of play. Yeah, I think it's something that if Danny Röhl can keep this going, maybe not necessarily in this exact shape, but can keep this positivity rolling, then everything's going to end up falling into place, and maybe we could catch Hearts. I'm not even going to say Celtic, because Celtic are falling as it is, but maybe we can catch Hearts with the 29 games that are left.
I like your little pun there. Keep it rolling. So I like that. Nice one there, Craig. Nice one. No, I like what you're saying there. Especially about the dual striker kind of system. It is something that kind of, I think, is coming back into football now. But that kind of lone kind of striker that kind of comes off the front three, I just don't think really works in Scotland for us, and we've persevered with it for a long time. But the kind of things notably that kind of going through what everybody said there and kind of looking at the stats myself, it's not just, having the dual striker. We were more lethal and effective. I just think we just switched to a more aggressive tactical setup. It wasn't the most aggressive I've ever seen, but it was just some slight little changes that just made things just flow that much better. The tempo and directness was a little better as well. Obviously, we kind of primarily went with a 3-5-2 formation. There's comments there with somebody's talking about Suter look better. William Duffy, how you doing, William? Look better in the centre of a back three, control possession without asking him to play like Maldini. And yeah, we've seen a lot from Suter in recent weeks, and I think he is tiring. He's out on international duty, he's back playing for Rangers, he's played a lot of minutes, doesn't really get a rest. So I think it just seems to be a little bit more suited to that as well. We did kind of change formation a little bit later. I think it was a bit of a transition to a kind of 4-2-4 at points, with a kind of 5-man defensive block. Again, defended on the phase of play. Out of possession, it seemed to kind of go to that. In possession, it was kind of more of that kind of 3-5-2. So that was really good to see. Again, just having somebody that's not welded to a tactical system that, even when it's not working, doesn't then just start throwing all caution to the wind in the last minutes to try and get something working. So that it does seem a bit more of an organised plan. So let's have a look at the actual average positions for yesterday then. So this is all the players that featured in the game, including substitutes. And you can kind of see here the average positions. So when I show you some other slides shortly, guys, at home, you will see that there is a bit of a difference in especially width in certain games. So big thanks to Gordy who put these together, and big thanks to Doug who put the other slide together as well. So as you can see here, I'll come to yourself, Ryan. Obviously, again, it is a kind of tactical kind of average position shape. I'm going to go to the next couple of slides just as a comparison for everyone at home, and then we'll kind of talk about them that way, because I think it's hard to kind of just talk about one kind of thing that we're seeing without kind of comparing to the others. So that was Stevie Smith's game. Of course, you can see a little bit narrower than what kind of Danny Röhl had kind of played with, but you'll see in a minute that there was actually a little bit more freedom with Stevie Smith's setup than where we see under Russell Martin. So under Russell Martin, that is Falkirk, where we're kind of hemmed back a little bit. Obviously, a result, another draw there. You look at Livy, where we kind of got the last minute win, incredibly narrow. Real lack of width there, which is kind of a common theme in this kind of Russell Martin setup. You look at the Hearts game, which is a bit strange. We actually did seem to have a little bit of width on the left, but the right was non-existent. James Tavernier's kind of average position was there, probably because of the way that Hearts were playing and were a little bit more attacking. Obviously, though, that Hearts game, the wind blows another way. It could have been a completely different result. But hey, that's refereeing in Scotland. You look at probably another one of our better performances this season, the home game against that lot, where Sadly, we couldn't win the game. We had a great finish from Suter, but obviously was just offside. You look there, and we do look a little bit more attacking there, but again, we didn't get any shots on target. And then you look at the kind of St Mirren game there. We tried to use a bit of width, but again, it was something that faltered off badly in that second half. And then you look at Dundee, which, again, another decent first half performance. I think that's where the majority of this kind of came from before we kind of dropped off in that second half. And then you look at Motherwell, that kind of first game of the season where it was a very possession-based kind of narrow system, obviously a common theme there. So I'm going to go back to slide 1, which is the game from yesterday. So, Ryan, just to show you again, I keep just throwing information at you, don't I, mate? Anything you can take away from that straight away that you look at with this kind of average possession system and say, okay, you can see kind of what's happening there, or what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I can see kind of the way they're obviously trying to get a little bit further up the park and play the game in the opposition's half rather than play the game in our own half. It's a lot kind of more safer if you want to think about it that way. I still don't understand why we look so narrow. Do you know that we play in probably one of the biggest parks in Scotland? You know, not even just talking about a professional level, like one of probably the biggest playing areas in Scotland, and we've got two kind of out and out wingers in Gassama and Antman within the squad, as well as Moore and Curtis backing them up. So it's crazy to think we're not actually using the width as much as we possibly could, but that's just could do with tactics, possibly. Could do with personnels of the strikers, stuff like that. We might see that possibly changing with Chermiti and Danilo now getting involved as a top two. So it's positive. You look at the kind of the Motherwell one especially, it looks as if we played the majority of the game in our own half. I think we were lucky to get away with a draw that day. The Livingston one as well. So it's positive, certainly, and it's a sign of a good performance, and it's a sign of a win more than anything else.
Oh no, definitely. Scott, I'm going to come to you, mate. We'll go back to kind of the Danny Röhl slide there. You can kind of make some comparisons here with where the kind of chances, the kind of middle of the screen at the bottom, just above the Rangers Journal text there. You can kind of see where the chance creation has come from. You can see where the goals have come from as well. If we compare that to under Stevie Smith there, not too dissimilar. Obviously, there's a bit more freedom under Smith, but then you look at the Russell Martin one there with Falkirk. Look at that, the kind of where the kind of goals come from, the minimal chance creation that just seemed to be, dare I say, almost non-existent. Obviously, Livy, we did have a few more shots, didn't we, Scott? Because that was actually the only away game we actually won this season. You look at Hearts there. Obviously, Hearts, again, I use that with a caveat because the Hearts game, you know, there was just some terrible refereeing performances there. And of course, there's the Celtic game, our one kind of chance there in that kind of mess. Is there anything you pick out from the kind of changes over the past few weeks? Now, of course, Danny Röhl hasn't been able to kind of really imprint his mark on the team yet. He's only been here a week, so it's kind of probably baby steps as it stands at the minute. But is there anything you can pick out from there at the minute?
Well, like you say, I mean, it's early days for Danny Röhl at the moment. I mean, he'll still be getting to know the players, never mind like on a personal level, never mind their own playing styles. But even looking at that yesterday, he's actually tried to utilise wingers for what seems to be maybe the first or second time this season. Obviously, we mentioned before the pod went live that Russell Martin had spent a great deal of money on bringing in wingers and then just never really seemed to use them. I mean, looking at that, I thought Magoma was an awful lot wider than that for long periods of the game yesterday. He seemed to be hugging that touchline constantly. But I mean, it just shows that we get joy from that. We get joy from that opportunity where the likes of Cornelius is going to push behind Magoma. Magoma's going to be looking for Asgard. And there's opportunities to be created. And like you guys mentioned, with the two men up top as well, it's you've got better options to be able to find a centre forward. When you go back to the likes of the St Mirren game, for talking sake, or sorry, the Falkirk game rather, how we get out of that, I'll never know. I mean, I genuinely don't know. I mean, we were hemmed in for so long. We're fortunate, but no disrespect to Falkirk, we're fortunate that they're not a better team because they would have battered us that day. if they had somebody to actually be able to put the ball in the back of the net. But I mean, the difference yesterday for me was simply enough just actually looking at utilising the wide play. We'll get joy from it. We'll get guys who can hit the touchline, because as soon as you're hitting the touchline, you've got one option, that's to put the ball in the back, to put the ball in the box. See, when you put the ball in the back of the box, it's a lottery at that point in time. It could go anywhere. So you're looking for your forwards, you're looking for Majowski, your Danilos, your Chermitis to get on the end of that. And if not, it's getting knocked back, and you're hoping that your midfielders are going to win the second ball. On top of that, when you've got the likes of Raskin, Asgard, there's no reason why these guys can't be. And it all stems from hitting the byline. And I think that's what Danny Röhl tried to emphasise yesterday. And I think it worked pretty well, especially in the second half. When he brought on Mikey Moore as well, it gave us a new flavour through that middle of the park, which gave us a new outlet. And I thought he played really well yesterday when he came on. Actually, it's utilising these players that he's got at his disposal, and I'm pretty confident that he's going to be able to do that going forward. We know, I don't want to dwell upon Russell Martin too much, but it just seemed to be that he just wasn't really that interested. As you touched on, Andrew, he mentioned that the Falkirk game, that winning games wasn't the most important thing in football. If it's not, then what actually is? I mean, I don't quite understand that. I think the cold light of day, he'll look at that and go, what am I actually rabbiting on about? Because I've not got a clue myself.
Do you know what? I don't think he will. I genuinely.
You're probably right, actually.
I honestly, there needs to be somebody study that man and his crimes against football. I'll be honest, but no, very well summed up there, Scott. Very well summed up. I think Craig, probably Scott's and Ryan have probably covered quite a lot from that. So don't worry if you haven't got too much there. Was there anything else you can pick out from that, mate?
I'm looking at it just now. Yeah, I mean the big thing for me was the width, particularly Magoma. I think Gassama, as good as a player he is, I think he's better on the left hand side. I think he's a bit negated on the right, because he loves that cutting inside, and trying to get a shot away. And I think he doesn't always utilise the fact that he's got a really good right foot to get down to the byline on the right hand side to get a cross in. But Magoma, in terms of getting the team wide, I think Magoma really showed what we should be doing. Mikey Moore. I know, Scott, you touched on Mikey Moore, but I think he looks a hell of a lot better in the centre of the park than he does out wide. I think that change was really smart at half-time. I don't think it quite clicked for Majowski yesterday. Take him off at half-time, get Mikey Moore on. Mikey Moore, the past couple of games, I thought he looked fairly decent against Dundee United as well last week, under Stevie Smith. And I think he's really starting to show why Tottenham rate him so highly. Again, I mean, I already mentioned it earlier, but Asgard, I think we've got so much more to see from Asgard, and I liked the sort of more free reign he had. He kind of popped up all over the place. I think he's got a lot of skill. I think he's got a lot more to show at Rangers.
Do you know what? 100% agree with you there. You don't. When you see the international, when other players go out on international duty, how many players now do we have that seem to almost not overperform, but seem to do really well, but they can't just do it at Rangers, which showed the kind of ingrained problems. I'm going to ask you another question, Craig, because I've always been coming at you last at the minute just because of the way the order is. So I'll come to you first this time. Obviously Danny Röhl's been in the door for a week now. We have seen some incremental improvements. Do you think that this could be just part of a new manager bounce, or do you think that we will see a lot more under Röhl? What do you reckon in your heart?
Look, there's probably a little bit of a new manager bounce, but then at the same time, the real kind of the real kind of lift in performance surely would have come in the first game, and it was very, very flat in Norway. So No, I think it's just a little bit of extra time to implement a few little changes, change of shape as well. Maybe Danny Röhl seen that after the game against Brann and thought, maybe we really need to change shape and how we do things. But no, I think there's maybe some strong sort of fundamental change coming in, because in a week, Danny Röhl has made this team look like a bit of a team again. It looks again, it's just things I've already said. It looks more structured. It just looks like a team of professional football players playing at a level that they should be playing at and can get even better. So I think there's maybe some fundamental changes, especially with the way Danny Röhl is as well, because he is someone who can adapt. So it's looking at how different teams will come up against us. In the league, it's not so much, because teams tend to sit back because they know the quality individual Rangers players have, so they tend to sit back and they'll defend their box. But looking at different ways to break teams down, and implementing different systems, different tactics to break teams down and score goals against them. So I think if you can fundamentally change the way that the squad thinks, give them that boost of confidence, and along with a little bit of tactical know-how, I think it's a little bit more than just a new manager bounce. There is some fundamental change.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Guys, there's lots of people at home that are watching on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. You might as well turn your notification icon on as well, and then you'll be notified anytime the Rangers Journal goes live. There's been quite a few kind of impromptu live pods over the past week. There's been a lot happening at the club, and I'm sure there'll be many more, so do keep yourselves all notified, and do get liking and subscribing. I'm just going to quickly go through some comments before we kind of have some more questions. I've got Shankland T96. Don't know why he's happy. I don't know. Did something happen at the weekend? I'm back. You're still second. Do you know what? You must be loving life at the minute, Shankland. You must be absolutely loving life. And obviously, thank you for the membership. Shona to Reggie Dundermartin, stick to your position, no freedom to be creative. Exactly that. That was the big problem. When you've got some fairly decent players that don't look like footballers in the system needs to change. Obviously, I was mentioning earlier a little bit about the kind of system. Rules, adjustments in the game, shifting formation, focusing on direct attacking play. Kind of the way he implemented the pressing, the high tempo style. Granted, it's not the kind of free flowing Rangers that we have seen in the past when we have been playing well. But you can see a night and day difference. We're definitely more lethal, effective in that game yesterday than we have been for a few months now, which really does highlight the kind of problems that we had there. A wee roll in the lock coming up. There we go. There's going to be plenty of rule kind of word puns, I'm sure, over the next few weeks. So, Ryan, obviously, it was a fairly decent result yesterday. We kind of saw what Danny Röhl can kind of do, especially with the kind of switching of the formation. But let's talk Cornelius. How better did that defence look with Cornelius back in that kind of back line?
Certainly a lot more balanced. He's contributed with a goal as well. I think he nearly had a second one. I think he had one cleared off the line as well, if I remember correctly. So I think man could have had a brace yesterday. He looks a great player. He looks a right good kind of, probably the Ben Davies that we wanted when we signed Ben Davies. That's probably the type of kind of left-sided centre half that we wanted to come into the club to offer that kind of balance. But I'd compared to the kind of defence we'd be looking at with the Jigga-Suter partnership, it just doesn't seem to be working. It's great to see. I've got the option to buy him, I think, in the summers at £2.5 million, 2.6 or something they were talking about there. seems like an absolute no-brainer at this moment in time, especially when he's likely to go, I think, Canada in the World Cup as well. So he's going to be going out and getting a good bit of experience and stuff there and playing against some of the best players in the world. So why not? Why not? But yeah, great. It's a shame he wasn't available for the Brand game, during the week before. Not too sure why he was ruled out for that one.
Yeah, that was something we all kind of looked at on a few pods, didn't we? But there was never an answer for that, and maybe it was just Röhl basing it on what he'd kind of seen in probably the one training session before. So maybe he went on that based on what he saw from Dija. But yeah, let's Scott. Let's talk not Cornelius. We just spoke about Cornelius. Chermiti. Let's speak about the £8 million man from Everton. Obviously, Kilmarnock's goalkeeper yesterday must have thought he was lying on a beach because that was. I've not seen a performance like that in a long time from a goalkeeper. I think obviously his confidence was knocked from early on in the game, and I think that kind of made him a bit jittery. But you can't deny that was a massive impact from Chermiti coming on, scoring within minutes, and actually seemed to be quite good off the ball as well.
Yeah, he actually impressed me yesterday. He strikes me as very much a confidence player. And I think yesterday he'll kind of do him a bit of good. I thought with the ball at his feet, he looked quite tidy as well. There was a moment in the second half where he manages to skip past a couple of players and release the ball wide. And his goal, that's Ballon d'Or material. Let's be honest, boys. That was what a finish that was. But no, it was a bit of a clang about the goalkeeper, as I said earlier on. But listen, at the end of the day, we'll take it, and so will he. I'd seen today that he's been getting a wee bit of grief about his celebration, but let's just gloss over that. Let's just move on. The boy's thrilled to get his first goal. It's his first goal in 550 days or something like that. Let him get his goal. Let him enjoy himself, and let's hope he can kick on from there. It's going to be an interesting one going forward with Chermiti because, in my opinion, between Chermiti, Majovski and Danilo, there isn't really a standout between the three of them at the moment. They've all got their pros and cons. Majovski was really poor yesterday. I just don't think he's that great with the ball with his back to goal. We've seen the player that he can be in previous life at Aberdeen when he bullied the life out of Connor Goldson on a regular basis. But Chermiti's got a base to build on now. It's as simple as that. He's got his goal. His monkey's off his back. Let's see what he can do from there. Danny Röhl strikes me as a kind of manager who's going to instill an element of confidence into his players anyway. And I'm really hopeful that that's going to be the case with Chermiti because he's a young boy. I think he's the kind of guy that needs a kind of reassuring arm around his shoulder and say, right, listen, son, you're a player. We've spent this money on you, a lot of money, but that's not your fault. Just come in here and do what you can do. Score the goals, keep everybody happy. And it's all you can do. There's nothing else for it. The shirt is there for him. Or if Danny Röhl wants to persist with playing two up front, I'm all for that. So he's got a decent opportunity of starting. Whether he plays that against Hibs on Wednesday and in the semi-final on Sunday, we don't know yet. I think he's got the flexibility and adaptability to kind of change things around depending upon who he's playing, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he will be doing his research as we speak just now. So Chermiti's got the opportunity to grab that jersey and make it his own. And I hope for the boy that he does. Not that I'm wanting Kevin Thelwell to be over the moon about anything or anything like that. I mean, I can imagine him in the director's box yesterday with his shirt off running about excited when he'd scored. But I'm just happy he's got the monkey off his back. And hopefully we can start to see why Everton rated him so highly and why Kevin Thelwell rates him so highly. The opportunity is there for him, so let's hope he grabs it.
Let's hope he does grab it indeed. Craig, obviously looking at kind of the players yesterday, there was one player that still seemed to be a little bit underperforming, and that was Nico Raskin. Are we starting to think now that maybe Raskin just had a little bit of a purple patch towards the end of last season and this is more of the Raskin in this Rangers team now, or do you think he will kind of evolve a little bit more into that player he was last season under Danny Röhl?
I don't think he's particularly playing badly. I think He's just maybe been asked to do something a little bit different. He's one of those guys that you mentioned earlier that goes away to international break and he does really well, and then it doesn't quite seem to happen at Rangers. He is one of those guys because Belgium, the Belgian team seem to really rely on him. I think he's just playing a little bit too deep. I think he's got a job to do. Again, I mentioned earlier about with the back three working. Tavernier was pushing forward. He was one of the guys that would maybe step in and take that defensive, take up that space that Tavernier had left. So I think he's doing the job he's been asked to do. I don't think it's as advanced or really puts the spotlight on him as much as at Belgium or at the end of last season with Barry Ferguson, who gave him that little bit more freedom to push further forward. So I don't think he's playing badly. I think he's just doing a slightly different job and it's taking the spotlight off him because he's not getting on the ball as much. He's not pushing forward as much. So I think he's just. I think he's doing fine. I think he's just playing that slightly different role. And in terms of what he's been doing, if that's the job he's been asked to do, certainly at the weekend under Danny Röhl, I thought he'd done it very, very well. It's just, it's just a little bit of a different, position in the team he's been asked to take up.
Yeah, do you know what? I thought he was quite unlucky yesterday with the kind of link-up play with his goal that he scored. Mm-hmm. And I thought he took the ball well midfield and motored on very well, which I just don't think we're used to seeing it from this side, just taking the ball and motoring on. It's like you look at, obviously, Trimiti's goal, he took it from outside the area, and actually, he trapped the ball and then rolled it well as well. And we are seeing players now taking shots from outside the box. We are seeing people being direct, which we just haven't seen enough of. And this whole one thing that used to irritate me on the touchline was when a move would kind of come to midfield, we'd lose possession, then win it back. Martin would point straight back to the centre-backs to Suter and that and get the ball back down there and start again. Mm-hmm. Why? It was all about the kind of possession in the stat system and that slow, kind of sluggish, keep the ball, control the game that way, and that just doesn't work for Rangers. So it is so refreshing to see that even if in just the one game, that there is a difference. So no, definitely. Well, we've got some, obviously, it's a big week for Rangers. Obviously, we're at Easter Road on Wednesday against Hibs. Now, that will be a massive test. Hibs, the only other kind of side, including Livingston, that we've actually beaten in Scotland this season. Obviously, you could include Alloa, but they are in the divisions below. Ryan, Easter Road, Hibs, not necessarily in the most amazing form like they were last season under David Gray, but they got a great win over Aberdeen there at the weekend. Is this a different type of test for us now?
Yep, definitely. Probably Easter Road's been one of the more harder places for us to go and get a result over the last few years. Even when we actually do score goals at Easter Road, they sometimes still don't count. So it's a difficult one for us to go. We've got to kind of negotiate this very cleverly. We've got a massive game obviously coming up on Sunday, and we've got to make sure we don't take our eye off the ball and actually go out and beat what's in front of us first of all. There's an opportunity to actually leapfrog Hibs, I think, in this fixture as well. If we actually beat them, I think we actually take their place above them in the league. So these are the kind of things, these are the boxes we need to start ticking off of getting aspirations for success this season. Probably the key battle, I think, is probably going to be between Hanley and whoever we decide to play up front. I think Hanley's probably one of these guys, as we've seen playing for the national team, that we can actually get at him, and he's very much up to the manager if he wants to kind of chuck Majowski into a battle with him and try and play Majowski off his shoulder, or if he wants to try and kind of go with strength and play Trimiti against him and get someone who's probably more physically adapt to playing against him. So, but you might find that Trimiti might kind of get a wee bit more bullied with Hanley. You obviously spoke about Trimiti's age just a minute ago there. Hanley's an experienced guy, experienced defender, so it's one that's difficult there. We've got to keep the back door closed. You've seen the guy, is it Ewan, the guy Ewan that scored? He looks as if he's a bit of a speedster, so we've got to be kind of careful with that high line that we've been caught out a few times this season as well. Obviously well aware of what Martin Boyle can do against us. So yeah, just go out and I think if we replicate our performances we did on Sunday there, the first half that we played against Dundee United, I think we should have enough to beat them. But we've just got to be kind of mindful they'll be very much up for it, as most teams are against us, that they'll fancy, they'll smell blood on us. So we've just got to go out and just stay firm, and we'll be looking for guys like Butland to obviously make amends for the mistake he did make on Sunday. It was obviously a bad goal that we lost. He'll hold his hands up and admit it was his error. Made to redeem himself a wee bit in the second half. He had a good save from a header low into his corner there, which other times that might have actually crept in against him. So we'll see what comes of it. It's going to be a difficult game, but if we do manage to find ourselves fortunate again, use the bench. Make sure we're keeping stuff in the legs for Sunday as well.
Yeah. No, definitely, and it will be an interesting test. It's been a positive start domestically for Danny Röhl, and hopefully we can just kind of keep that going, and it will be the perfect warm-up for Sunday's game. Now, Scotty, I'm going to come to you next, mate. Obviously, we're not going to look too far ahead to Sunday. There'll be lots of podcasts this week on the Rangers Journal Network, so do like and subscribe and turn your notifications on, as we will all be deep diving into that game. It's a mouth-watering tie. It is going to be an interesting game. I think one you can't really predict at the minute. I really don't know how to predict that kind of game at the minute. But obviously today the information was released about the officials for the game. So Nick Walsh has been given the task of refereeing the game. He'll be assisted by Daniel McFarlane, Frank Connor, and Stephen McLean, who was at Tynecastle at the weekend. He's on VAR duties with his assistant Andrew Dallas. So I know officials in Scotland, most of them aren't great. And I guess when you're kind of looking at the list of referees, it's like choosing between a kick in the stones and a slap in the face. What one is better? What did you make of the appointments today? What do you reckon to it, mate?
Not really surprising, to be honest with you. It's there's a very little pool to choose from, and Nick Walsh is no friend of Rangers. Let's be honest with you. I mean, there's been some pretty calamitous decisions in the past. You tell yourself that there's no such thing as corruption or anything like that, and I tell myself that all the time. I think there's a fundamental issue in the SFA where the development of referees is just nowhere near good enough. We just don't have anywhere near, like, you look back at even 15, 20 years ago, and Scotland had referees going to the World Cup, sort of like Hugh Dallas and these kind of guys who were sort of highly respected. We don't have anything anywhere near close to that anymore. And you look at some decisions. I mean, going to Nick Walsh, I mean, it's twice he sent Rangers players. Once he sent a Rangers player off, refused to look at the VAR. Once he chopped a goal off, refused to look at the VAR. Both of them being, if he'd looked at the VAR screen, he would have known that he got it wrong on both occasions. Now, is that an ego thing? I don't know. I mean, you've got to take your hat off. He's sticking to his guns, fair enough. But if you're consistently making errors with these kind of things, then there has to be a case to answer for. And they don't seem to have that. They seem to get away scot-free on a regular basis. And I think Rangers as a club, I mean, without sounding too sort of conspiracy theory nutcase type situation, we need to be sort of being a bit more vocal about these kind of things. There has been errors in the past that have caused Rangers an awful lot of issues. I mean, even if you look back to John Lundstrom getting sent off at Easter Road a couple of years ago, you could argue that result lost us the league. I mean, that 3 points would have been huge at the end of the season, and just a silly mistake that could have been rectified if you'd used the tools at your disposal or were better trained by the powers that be. There has to be something done in Scotland. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, they're biased towards them, they hate us, blah, blah, blah. There needs to be a training aspect put into place, because it's just breeding complacency on a regular basis where we're just not getting the officials and the performances that the players and us as fans deserve to have. You're paying your hard-earned money to go to a game. You expect for it to be called fairly. And the likes of yesterday, when Kilmarnock had scored, when Diomandi's half down, and then 8 seconds later, a free kick's given for something that was less than a free kick, but it goes towards Kilmarnock. You just don't understand it. I don't get it. There's a lot of things that just kind of sort of stick in my claw when it comes to these things. And I'm sitting here telling I'm not going to rabbit on. I've rabbited on for far too long, sounding like an absolute nutcase. But it's just we deserve better in this league, and that's just not Rangers supporters. That's supporters of every club in this league. They deserve for these games to be refereed in a fairly and in a better standard, to be honest with you. But we'll see what Sunday brings with Mr. Walsh, and we can all have a therapy session on Monday afternoon about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's been an issue in Scotland for a while now, Craig. It's something we have been so frustrated with. We've seen. It's got to be double figures, the issues in Old Firms in recent years, that there's just severe incompetence from these officials. What should be happening with the SFA and officials when they make such large calamitous errors, and even when they're reviewing these errors, they're still making further errors? What do you do? What has Willie Collum got to do with these officials? Do you get rid of them, or do you get new ones? What do you do?
So the thing with the refereeing, the thing I always go back to with refereeing, I had a friend who done he's done his grade 2 refereeing. The top grade is grade 1, but he was telling me when he went for his grade 2, he was telling me that Scotland has the highest number of grade 1 referees in Europe. So, in my opinion, that probably means that they're going for quantity over quality. They have a lot of these guys at this level, and they're not suitably trained to deal with decisions at this level. I think that VAR is far too complicated for us to manage, for referees to manage in this country. I also think that VAR overall, when you compare it to the way UEFA use it, even the way that the English Premier League use it compared to us, it seems a lot more, certainly with UEFA, it seems a lot more straightforward. It seems a lot more accurate. And I think there just needs to be a better transparency of, what the rules actually are. I think there's a lot of times, especially around handball, so many penalties, so many decisions have been made on handballs that just look like the ball's been the ball's been hit at a guy and his arm is not too far out, but it's kind of not right down by his side, and it happens to flash by his arm, and he gets a foul given against him. A lot of time as well, that's blocking shots, he's given away a penalty, and it just seems really unfair. Deflections as well. A ball gets hit and it deflects off someone, it bounces up, hits someone's arm, and then a penalty's given. It's just really, really frustrating because it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair. I'm not one to call referees biased. I think that it truly is just they are not suitably trained to referee these high-profile games.
Okay, well, there's a comment here from Chaz, member Chaz, Chaz8315. Don't start making excuses before football is kicked on Sunday. More going on than decision. The club's full package is a shambles. No, we're not making excuses here. If we lose to a penalty on Sunday that is a clear penalty, that's football and it's frustrating. We'll be annoyed, but that's it. It's the rules of the game. We won't be angry at that. It's just, Ryan, as we've seen in just about every other week when we see the VAR show at the minute, and even last year, we're just constantly seeing, Gordon Duncan will be asking Willie Collum, what should have happened here? We go, yeah, we got this one wrong, we got that one wrong, blah, blah, blah. There does have to be some accountability at some point, doesn't there, when I think we're pretty much featuring on that every week. You look at Sky Sports and even Dermot, is it Dermot Gallagher, the former official down there? The amount of times he's like, they've got that completely wrong for Rangers. And it is more seasons. It's not just one or two things, it's loads. And I know other teams suffer the same kind of, they'll get some bad decisions as well. But when you actually break down the list of what's went against us wrongly, that has been collated, the facts and figures that you can't argue with, it's not good reading, is it?
No. I think what you're saying about accountability, there is accountability within the referees, remit. We're not privy to what their accountability is. They do have a kind of disciplinary structure, and they do have meetings that do exist, and they have questions that are asked of them, which will remain private for obvious reasons. But there is methods to what they're doing. The problem that you have in this country is that the referees aren't full time. I think that's the kind of main thing. You see, what you spoke about, the standard of referee in England compared to the standard referee in Scotland. The difference, pure and simple, is money. So if you actually look at what a referee is paid in Scotland, if you were to ask Kevin Clancy, what did you get paid for taking that game? I couldn't tell you exactly how much he's paid, but I don't think it's a lot. Now, he stood in the middle of Ibrox Stadium yesterday and he's taken pretty much vile abuse for 90 minutes straight. Rightly or wrongly, that's your own personal opinion if you think he deserves that abuse. But most guys who are probably half-decent referees, who could be half-decent referees, will look at the amount of money they're going to get paid for taking that abuse and say, that's not for me. That's not worth it. I wouldn't take the abuse that you're giving there. I wouldn't have my wife and me going to a restaurant and for people to start pointing fingers. I wouldn't have people showing up at my door after a Saturday night, after a game, if I'd made the wrong call, accusing me of this, that, the next thing. I'm green, blue, I'm orange, I'm all this sort of thing. It's not worth the money to these guys. So you can fix it with money and you can bring them in full time and you can attract maybe a higher level of talent, because there probably is talent out there if you could get more money involved in it. If you can't attract talent with money, what you can do is you can improve technology with talent. So you've seen yesterday, it took them about 4, maybe 5 minutes to decide that Nico Raskin was offside from there. And enhancement technology and investment in better technology would actually solve that within 20 seconds. I think we've seen at the Euros last year, they had this semi-automated offside decision and it was done within seconds. And you've seen the guy come in and it was based on an angle. So if you can get guys in with better technology, you get guys in, you can get physical people in with better money, you get technology with better money to assist them to get the big calls right. So that when we do look at Thomas Tierney getting pulled down the box at Hampden, it gets called correctly. When you do look at the ball going across the line after Nico Raskin scored the goal, it gets called correctly. When Modi Amanda gets sent off at Tannadice because apparently slapped Kevin Holt, it doesn't get sent off because the technology solves it, because you get more camera angles and you can do better. So there's several occasions and several things that there, but they're not helping referees because they're not giving them enough training. They're not giving enough technological backup. These guys aren't biased, right? I refuse to believe that they're biased to any way, shape or form. They're just not as good as what they could be. And they're not, things can be better, and it's within the SFA's own control to make this better. So I can't think of anything else to say. That's the thing that they can do to fix this. They haven't done themselves any favours with the referees that they picked for the weekends. You've got Andrew McLean, who's going on to the VAR referee. Stephen McLean, sorry, who's allowed Lauren Shanklin to handball the ball at Ibrox to go on for their out the park. You're allowing the guy McFarlane, who was the assistant referee at Easter Road when Raskins had his goal ruled out there, and you're also allowing Nick Walsh, who's had catalogues of errors there. There are other referees. You get the guy Dickinson, who's not too bad. You've got John Beaton as well, who's probably the most senior referee now that Column's retired, who could have taken the game as well. I don't know if he's doing the weeks the day before. They could have picked the referees a lot better. That's all I'm saying. They've just probably opened themselves up to a line of questions that they probably don't need to be asked if they'd just done this better.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and I don't think the SFA and the league themselves help themselves when things do happen. We all remember the incident with the Johnson handball, which then was given as a goal kick, and then because the commentators get the audio feed from the VAR room, and there was nothing spoke about an offside at that point. We go into the second half, all raging, going, how was that not a penalty? Nothing's everyone's getting angry. Then all of a sudden, boom, they say, oh yeah, it was offside. Here's the offside still, which it was offside, but the process wasn't followed properly. Obviously, there was that meeting with Rangers, with the league, because they weren't happy about it. And then you had Rangers were played the audio from that. The audio was never made public, and Rangers, I think pretty much, I'm just kind of ad-libbing here, they did put out a statement saying they weren't happy with the audio either, because the audio did not clear anything up, and we were never given that audio. Now going forward, we do seem to be given audio, but for some reason we weren't given that one. But I just think that the league and the SFA, they do not help themselves when it does come to the accountability side of kind of making right these wrongs. And the difficult thing in football is it's very difficult to make these wrongs right, because you've just lost the cup final to a Julian offside goal, which, don't get me wrong, VAR wasn't in place then, but that's still an error. It's still something that should have been caught. The Czerny penalty incident, which was a penalty, unanimously agreed it's a penalty, because it doesn't, even though it starts outside the box, it goes into the box, and that was a whole mess. And that's after VAR's been in for quite a substantial period of time. Are things improving? I don't think so. So it will be interesting, and we are not going to bleat if we lose to a penalty or a free kick, as long as it is a free kick and as long as it is a penalty, because we are just seeing too many errors now, and too many goals being chopped off for free kicks down the other end of the park, which you're now not seeing, because they're classed in different phases of play and things, and it's just becoming a bit of a minefield. And what is a handball anymore? I don't think any of us really know. Right, it's been 1 hour 5 minutes, and I think we've been talking enough this evening. It's a positive start for Danny Röhl and his Rangers 11. It's a big week for Rangers, and the Rangers Journal will be tracking it all the way. So it's Hibernian on Wednesday, 19:45 kickoff, and then the big one on Sunday. The guys will be doing the pre-match and post-match for all the games, and having other pods as well. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the Rangers Journal on YouTube, and do follow the Rangers Journal on Twitter. I also have the Ibrox channel page as well. Do like and subscribe to that on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and probably on Nextdoor app as well. It's probably on absolutely anything. But I'd just like to thank the guys this evening. Ryan, thank you, mate.
No bother, buddy. No bother.
Good to see you as always. Good to see you. And Scott, and your majestic main, thank you ever so much for coming on tonight, mate.
Thanks very much for having me. It's nice to be on for a positive for once.
It sure is, isn't it? It sure is. And last but not least, Craig, thank you ever so much for your contribution tonight, and it's good to hear from you, pal.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Yeah, good to have a positive chat for once. Hopefully they continue.
And hopefully they do continue. It's been a good week, and we just hope it continues. It's early days under Danny Röhl, but as he has once said, the only way is up. So have a good night, guys, and every night is a Rangers Journal night.